time, you need to understand how those things work to help you be a more effective communicator. Now, I have a little exercise for us. Should be some pads of paper on the tables. What I'd like to do is take the next couple of minutes and have you write down 2 things that you can do today. 2 things that you can do today to improve your communication. And we'll take a couple minutes to do that, and then when we're done, I'll ask a couple of folks to share their ideas, and then we'll collect all these ideas and share them with other folks. So take a couple of minutes to do that, and we'll go forward. Okay. What I'd like to do is call on a couple of tables. I'd like for one person from like maybe 5 tables to share their 2 ideas. Make sure you go to a mic so that we can hear you. So table 18. Is that just wrong? Well, you told me to call on you. Okay. So give us 2. You need to go to the mic though. Whoa, hang on. Hang on. There's like 4. Oh.
I can go first if you like.
Go first.
Okay. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So have more face-to-face with the person and less email.
Hey, how about that?
And then to improve body language by not just standing there with your arms crossed, but actually be engaged.
Okay, thank you. Give her a hand. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so our group consistently said listen.
Whew.
We were going to listen more to help our communication.
Okay.
And then someone at the table said, cut out the sarcasm and be more concise.
Me?
No, they were going to be.
You said that with like attitude, you know?
I did. But we're all going to listen more.
Okay, all right, good. Thank you. All right, who's next? I need one more. Let's see, 10, what's that, 30? Let me hear from 30. He told me 12, 15. I'll stay on. I'll try to stay on that. I still have like another 15, 20.
We had several votes for being better active listeners. I'm also going to suggest that I should get more sleep so my communication makes more sense. So you can talk to my 2 kids about that. That's their problem.
Okay, thank you. 14.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
One of the things that we talked about at our table is closing that loop on email communication, getting that confirmation of understanding.
Okay, good. Thank you. Let me get one more. 7. Table 7.
Hello, table 7 here. Hi, Meg Pearson. I'm varying my tone. Never boring, never. I have to make several important phone calls later today, so I'm going to prepare for those phone calls and think about what I'm going to say. And also, I'm going to be more composed in my tone and thereby more professional.
Okay, thank you. Let's give her a hand too. Okay, thank you for participating in that. What I'd like for you to do is leave those sheets on the tables so that we can collect them, and then we'll get those ideas back out to you. Okay. Okay, the last part I want, I'm sorry? That's whatever works for you. Okay, that's fine. Now I'd like to kind of wrap up with some thoughts about going the extra inch. I borrowed that concept from the Disney Institute. Back in January, the Atlanta Hawks invited the Disney Institute to talk to the staff about enhancing the fan experience at Phillips Arena. The whole idea is you don't have to go the extra mile. There are little things that you can do to make a difference in your communications on a daily basis. True story. My wife and I were in Kansas, same place we were earlier. And we were on the plane, and I looked at I looked where my watch was supposed to be, and it wasn't there. Then I realized that I'd left my watch at the security checkpoint. Now, we were seated in the plane. We had put our seatbelts on, but they hadn't closed the plane door yet, but they had closed the ramp door. And so I ran out of the plane. It's a pretty nice watch. I ran out of the plane, and the gate agent was on the other side of the door, and he said, "You can't come out." I said, "Well, I need to get my watch." And he said, "Where are you seated?" And I said, "Well, okay, we're sitting in this row." And so 5 minutes later, he brought my watch to me. That's what I mean by going the extra inch. Okay, he didn't have to do anything. It didn't cost him anything to do that. The plane wasn't going to be delayed for him to do that. But we've got some examples right here at the University of West Georgia. Now, I got permission to say this person's name, but when I first got engaged with the University of West Georgia back in the fall, Aaron Brandon was kind of my contact person. And when I was in marketing and marketing executive, that's the type of client service, performance and behavior that is really important, because she was always following up, anticipating things, following up with other people who I probably should have been talking to. But the whole idea is she was exhibiting a level of service. She was communicating and going an extra inch to help me with my transition into the University of West Georgia. I also like to thank the HR people. I think that's the HR table right there. Is that fair to say? Okay. Back in the fall, y'all might remember my nice emails. No, they weren't long, were they? They weren't long, were they? No, they were to the point. There was an error with my paycheck, and it wasn't to my advantage. Okay? But instead of them saying, "Hey, it'll be in your paycheck, next month," they did what they needed to do, and they called me over and handed me my check with the missing money. They handed me the missing money. They went the extra. I consider that going the extra inch. They could have told me to wait, but they did what they needed to do to provide service to the client. That's what I mean by going the extra inch. Now, here are some things we can do as far as communication goes. Save our email. What do I mean by that? Respect the receiver's time. We're all busy. Think about it. Some messages don't need to go in an email. Some messages don't even need to be said. Don't send an email when you're emotional or angry. That's pretty obvious. Remember, email is not private. Something to think about. Don't put something in an email that you wouldn't want to see on the front page of the paper. Just think about that. The next one is proofread, proofread, proofread. Don't send a thank you email in reply to a thank you email. What's that about? Thanking somebody for thanking you? Really? Now, I have to say something that's kind of might be a little sensitive, but there's a lot of I call internal spam here. And right now I have about 500 unread emails in my inbox. And I look at them to make sure, if I'm supposed to do something. A lot of marketplace, we're selling puppies and washers and dryers and stuff like that. And I usually don't pay much attention to it. This week, I opened my email, and there was a word in the subject line that got my attention, scared me to death. What do you think that word was? Say it out loud. And I didn't understand what that was about. The word was lynching. So imagine my surprise. Now, what I was trying to figure out is, okay, what's the context? Okay, calm down, Alan. What's the context? Okay, and I opened it up, and I couldn't find the context for it. Why am I getting this email about lynching? Okay, and so I wondered, okay, maybe somebody's doing a special project or is sharing this. Then I wonder how I got on the list. And then the thing that got me, the thing that really got me is that some people who received the email hit reply all to thank the person for sending the report. So that stacked up my email box some more. So we just have to be thinking about the content, the context of all the messages that we send over our networks. Again, think twice before hitting reply all. I'm trying to figure out how I can unsubscribe to certain lists I'm on. I really am. Because my number one priority as a professor here is students. And of course, when my boss sends me something, I want my colleagues and leaders of the university, of course. But the whole idea is to understand we have an opportunity to disconnect. And when you do take that opportunity, some weekends take a break from email. When I was the vice president of communications at Equifax, the chairman sent out an edict, no emails on Fridays. Because he got tired of people not going next door to a cubicle to have a conversation. And I don't know if you heard this about a month ago. The Coca-Cola company cut out its voicemail system. You all hear about that? Okay. Say what? Say it out loud. You like that? Yeah. You know, because people are getting farther and farther away from face to face. And that's people want to be, connected with you. They want to have all those verbals there so they can really understand your message. All those things are very important for you. Here's a website I found that could be helpful to you. It's called emailcharter.org. If you're interested in, trying to, update and master your online communications, take a look at it. It's got some good ideas out there. Emailcharter.org. Okay, number 5. Know your communications blind spots. We all have them. We all have those things that irk people, but we don't know we're irking them. Okay? It could be that they're trying to go it alone and they won't ask for help. You've heard the term bull in a china shop. They're not sensitive to their effects on other people. They avoid difficult conversations. And I think you guys have been trying to address that, and I think that's going to be very helpful. And sending conflicting messages. That's probably one of the number one things. Now, I don't know if you can see this. It's a cartoon of a door. It says, "My door is always open, just don't come in." Some of you send that message. You don't know you're sending it, but some of you send that message, and you're sending it, "Oh yeah, my door is always open, please come see me." And then when I see you, "Oh God, I'm so busy, I've got this going on," and you don't have time. So be mindful of that. And if the only time you hear from a lower level person in your organization is when there's an issue, you don't have an open door policy. Think about that. Okay. Now, as far as getting some feedback, I know you do surveys. Ask somebody to give you some feedback on your style. We can all use an opportunity to talk with somebody and say, okay, how am I coming across? How am I being perceived? And what can I do to improve my effectiveness as a communicator? Could be from your staff, could be from a colleague, could be from a boss. So think about that. Okay, number 4. Ask, listen, and learn. It's really important that we set up situations where we ask questions, and y'all said it, active listening, so that we can learn something. That's really important. Well, how can we do that? Well, I saw a study, you're going to laugh at this. I saw a study that said spending 6 hours per week with the boss increases employee inspiration, motivation, and engagement. Is that going to happen here? No. Imagine spending 6 hours a week with your staff. You just don't have the time to do that. But what are some other things you can do? Well, maybe you can look at this list here. Maybe start a conversation every week. Maybe entertain, have some donuts and coffee. Go to lunch. Inspire them. Give them some relevant information. There's all kinds of opportunities for you to connect with your staff, and that opens up communications, and that opens up opportunities for them to learn what it is you expect from them, and if whatever tools they may be missing, they may feel even freer to actually communicate their needs to you. Number 3, emotional intelligence. What we mean by this is self-monitoring. Being aware of your own behaviors, being aware of how your behaviors affect others. Also appreciate the effect that your role has on the organization, because the higher the role, the greater the responsibility to be thoughtful before engaging in debate. I'll say that again. The higher the role, dean, department chair, division leader, Although when you're in those roles, you have to take very special care when you engage in debate, especially with people at lower levels in the organization. Number 2, credibility. This is a simple one. Yeah, we want to be liked, we want to be trusted, we want to be believed in, but we can mess that up. But let me help you out here. Do what you say you're going to do. Show up on time. Start your meetings on time, end them on time. How are we doing on time? Okay? The whole idea is to understand those things undermine your credibility if you're not careful. Meet your deadlines. If you're not going to meet a deadline, let the person know ahead of time that you're not going to meet the deadline. That's just being respectful. That's being professional. Involve others when making decisions that will affect their area. When you all were talking about the activity, and I was a little lost in the discussion, but I was trying to figure out what was going on. You know, there are some codependencies in the planning that you're doing. And communication is going to be a very, very important thing to make sure you identify those codependencies so that you won't have a situation where you've got 5 people calling on Southwire. So there needs to be some point of contact that understands all the codependencies across the organization so that you won't have to worry about this, and you'll be involving the people who need to be involved in the decisions that you're trying to make. Last one, practice. In order to develop a skill, you have to practice it. I tell my players, you practice how you play, or you play how you practice. Okay? So the whole idea is to understand, in order to improve your communication skills, in order to be more effective, you've got to practice the skill. But that means you've got to commit some time to it. Getting better takes time. You got to train your staff. Let your staff know what's expected of them. I sat in the room with the recruiting team last Friday, had a great session with them, and I heard today that they're actually taking some of the concepts and the ideas we talked about last week, and they're actually practicing today, doing some training today. I was very proud of that because they took it seriously. You need to take it seriously as well, because the whole idea here is to understand that there's Toastmasters, there's all kinds of seminars on communications for new managers, communications for executives, delegating authority, all those things. Take advantage of those opportunities when you can, because it won't hurt you. It'll definitely help you grow. We've talked about a lot of things today, and two things I want to leave you with. One is what it says up on the screen. Knowledge is of no value